In this lecture, I'll talk about speech X theory, which is probably the most important topic in contemporary pragmatics. We cannot assume any book of pragmatics which does not contain any information about speech X. In the beginning, I'll just introduce you to what speech X are and what kind of various lines of its theories are, and then we'll move forward. Speech X is such an important topic in pragmatics that many people would not assume any course of pragmatics without speech X, or many people would assume speech X as pragmatics. That means that they do not know pragmatics beyond speech X. Speech X theory comes to us through Austin, who is a popular pragmatist in the previous century, and he informs us that we can do so many actions through words. Words are not only the containers of meanings linguistically, but they also contain so much social and cultural information that enhance or reduce their meanings and general linguistic meanings. So in simple, what he proposed was that we do perform actions through words like physical actions. And these actions are like the action of apology, request, order, etc. Whenever we say something, we do perform an action. If I say, "Can you please bring me a glass of water?" that means I'm requesting you to bring me a glass of water. So action which is being performed through this statement is that of a request. Speech theory in this regard looks into various processes which help us to understand the meanings generated during or within a conversation. As I have just said, that similar to physical acts, we do perform actions with words, and these words, these actions include the actions like ordering, requesting, warning, and advice, and so on. There are so many other actions which may be performed through words. And it simply may be said that it aims to answer the question, what do we do when we use language? What do? We do perform actions when we use language, as per Austin and other philosophers who propose speech acts or enhance its theory as proposed by Austin. Speech acts are acts of communication, for example, those of apology, commands, etc. I give you another example here. If somebody says it's hot here, it could possibly be an information about weather, but in most of the situations you can see uh, it may not be a mere information about weather. Rather, it could be a request of switching on a fan, or it could be a request to switch on your air conditioner or any other thing, or open the window. Uh, let's think for a moment. You're sitting in your room and somebody enters into the room and says, "यहाँ बहुत गर्मी है." So what would you do? You will probably look around and try to do something in order to remove his complaint, or it could be treated as a request. You would probably look for your air conditioner to be switched on. So this simple statement can be an information in certain situations and can be a request in other situations, or a complaint in even other situations. Speech X in this way actually looks into what do we accomplish with words, and it also looks into the effect, or what effect a conversation or communication does on a listener. I mean, you try to say something in a direct or indirect way. What impact does it generate on the listener? Probably that impact is your intention. So speech acts primarily are based on decoding the intentions of the speaker. Speech acts also rely on the speech events, because a lot of interpretation of these acts or the intentions of the speaker rely heavily on the context in which those uh, acts are being performed. That means we need to carry along speech events in order to understand the meaning of certain speech acts. For example, if you want to decode the statement "it's hot here," what does it mean? Is it a request or a complaint or any other thing? You have to see the situation in which it is being said. Similarly, I can quote another example. For example, this tea is cold. This statement can be treated as as a kind of praise in a summer day when it's really hot outside and somebody is being offered an iced tea, and he would and the person who receives that iced tea would be very happy and say this tea is really cold. But in other situations, you can see if it's a wintry day, it's a very cold day, and somebody uh, comes in with a cold tea, and you say it's really cold. That would probably be a complaint or any other thing, and not the praise which it possibly be in a summer day. Too often, those words which perform these actions clearly are called performative. For example, some words clearly refer to certain actions. For example, the word bet, perform, promise, they clearly say that they are going to perform an action. For example, I promise you to come back tomorrow. Uh, this statement carries a clear action of promising. So, such words are called performatives. We have explicit performatives which clearly say the action which is being performed. For example, uh, they are they are joined by the personal pronoun I in the beginning. For example, if somebody says, I order you to clean up the mess, that means it's an explicit performative because somebody I is clearly asking somebody to perform an action. Similarly, I hereby tell you that the work was done by Elaine and myself. Again, there is a clear performativity is which is being performed there. We do have some implicit performatives also, but these performatives do not contain personal pronoun in the beginning, and they are straight away the orders or requests. For example, you listen to the statement like clean up the mess. So this could be an implicit performative. We also have a category known as constatatives. Constatatives are those statements which do not perform any action, but they just inform us about a fact or a reality which exists around us. So they do not perform any real action. So we cannot call them speech acts. One of the examples of such statements can be seen in the statement in front of you: the earth is flat. This statement contains the information about earth we live on, but it does not perform any action. Such statements can be treated as constitutive and may be seen in contrast to speech acts.